Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Unrealistic Box, where we have realistic discussions about unrealistic dreams. I am Kimberly,
And I'm Laura Griffiths.
and each week we have special guests visiting with us, talking about their journey to success, um, giving advice on life and their careers. And today we have Miss Silvadnie Quainoo with us. So, hi, Silvadnie, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming through on this busy, beautiful Sunday to share your wealth of knowledge with us. I know you have a lot to say, so glad we always have. You always have something to say on every topic. How do you keep yourself? How do you keep abreast with current affairs?
I watch the news. I watch the news. I read the news. I read books about topics that interest me. I'm currently reading a book talking about, it's called Communication. It's an older book. The name of it, I can't quite remember, but it really says communication and how to have effective communication as a Christian. So I just read. Growing up, I was taught by my dad that reading is important. Watching TV is not important. And being abreast of current affairs is profoundly important. And I have a father who can tell you when, government international institutions were set up, to the president of his country when he was born, to when he died and why he died, if it was an accident or if it was an issue, to who was the president of this country and several others, to when was NATO formed and why it was formed, who was the head of NATO and what year it was formed.
All right. Well, that was well said. Shout out to Dad. All right. So, Silvadnie, in your bio, it says that at the age of 14, you operated your own pie business.
Yes.
14. Also, that you survived 3 and 4 degree burns
to my face. Yes.
To your face.
Yes.
All right. So let's talk about that.
Okay.
How did that happen?
The burns or the business?
But let's go with the burns first, and then.
So I had to be maybe about 6 years old, and I was playing in the house with all my beautiful cousins in California, nice, sunny, hot California. And I was finished drinking my whatever I had in my hand. And I ran into the kitchen to put my cup down because I wanted to go back and play. And I probably was also watching something. So I wanted to get back to playing as quickly as possible. But I knew I had to put my cup or bowl or whatever it was in the kitchen. So I ran into the kitchen. And as I was running into the kitchen, my aunt was turning around with a boiling hot pot of water that she just was removing from the stove, and I ran dead smack into it. And so I was rushed to the hospital and all these beautiful things. And FYI, you ever see those movies where people are on fire and they're running? That is not a movie effect. It's a real thing. What happens is when you get burned, your body, it doesn't know how to escape. So you just start running around like a crazy person because you're trying to escape the pain. And that's the only recourse you have left. So I started running around, covering my face, ended up on the couch, rolling around, ended up being taken in the car, still screaming at the top of my lungs. I remember it like it was yesterday. And at some point, I know I had to pass out because I don't remember the emergency room or any of those things, but I know I was there. And I do remember my next appointment, and they tried to take me away from my parents because my face was too healed for a burn that just happened a day or two ago, when I had to go back to see, a doctor from the emergency room. And my parents had put activated charcoal on my face, which they had learned about from when I was a child and I drank diabetes pills, and that's what they gave me in the hospital. So I'm not supposed to look the way that I currently look, but God in his mercies allowed my parents or the doctor to be so transparent in what they gave me when as a infant I got into something I shouldn't, and then my parents learned all they could and they learned some of the other uses for it. So my face was not grafted, but I did, if you ever seen those movies where people's face are covered and the only thing you see is their nose, their eyes, and their ears, that's how my face had to be covered.
Wow. So, well, you did say that your face was not completely healed, but it was healing in an advanced stage.
Yes.
So did that affect your confidence or your self-esteem in any way?
As a child, not really. I got burned, and then, children are resilient, and I just kept going as confidently as I can. I have pictures. I thank God, because when I tell nurses that, they tell me I'm a liar. Like, there's no way I've had a nurse tell me that I'm lying and that didn't happen to me, because I'm not supposed to look the way that I look currently, based on if we just went the prescribed way and method. But as a child, not really. I remember I have pictures where my face is all covered and I'm outside with my cousins and I'm in the picture smiling where the only thing you can see is my ears and my nose. So not really. And then I have pictures as my skin begin to heal. I know if you get that cut, you ever get that cut and you see that white skin like right underneath your skin and it just bleeds a little bit. I have pictures when my face began to heal and you just see like all this clear white pink skin, and then parts where my skin is coming back and it's getting darker and I'm getting normal skin again. And I am a darker skinned person, so the color of my skin is coming back. But honestly, I think I was a champ through it, as you ask now. So I think God blessed me with parents, and I knew that I was healing. So I think that's what it is. Like, I knew that it was getting better. I knew that it wouldn't always be like this. And I think as a child, that consciousness made it just a thing that I got to deal with until it gets better.
Right. So you have a bachelor's degree in nutrition and a master's in food science. Did your upbringing or your experience kind of lead you into that path in focusing on food and nutrition and health and wellness?
Yes, I believe so, empirically and directly. My parents growing up, they had a health food store that my mom started from our home. So my parents were health and temperance leaders in the Northeastern Conference when I was a child. I was born and raised in New York City and Northeastern Conference of SDA Seventh-day Adventist, and I was raised a Seventh-day Adventist. My parents became Seventh-day Adventists when I was a child. And so we explored, I guess under the direction of Pastor Della Pina at the time. We went to different churches doing health seminars. I spent my life growing up going to this seminar or going to this training class about health, or my mom doing cooking classes and things like that. So as a result, some of the better food choices that we discuss that are more common today, things like quinoa and spelt and millet and barley and bulgur, where, people eat barley sometimes, and, we eat oats and, we eat rice and things like that were less common. The health wasn't as common. So my parents used to order the things in bulks, and my mom sold it out of our house. And when we had events, we would back and package everything and we would sell them there as well. So it became a brick and mortar. And so that's how that worked. And I just seen people with my own personal life and testimony. I survived malaria. And I know you didn't ask me this, but I know it's in there. I survived malaria. I survived the 3rd and 4th degree burns. I survived drinking of diabetes pills as a toddler, and I watched a documentary of a young lady who, as a teenager, she got the wrong pills and she had brain damage for the rest of her life. And I have none of those issues. I lost my memory. I had to learn to read, to write, everything again. And all those things, even under medical care, what helped me through every single of these things that I've mentioned is the natural way, or using nature things that God has provided us with nature to heal me. The doctors gave me activated charcoal, so my parents learned about it. As a result, my face was never grafted. I never got the sepsis and an infection that the reason you graft people's face is to prevent them from getting sepsis and infection, because when that top layer of skin is gone, you don't have any immediate protection. So any bacteria, you will die from an infection, not even from the burns. That helped me to prevent that, so that my face wouldn't have to be grafted and it could actually heal on its own. When I got malaria, I went to the doctors. I remember I had a CAT scan of my head because I had headaches every day. I couldn't remember anything. And I remember the doctors talking to my mom, and one of them told them, whatever you choose to do, we support you because we don't have anything for you. And it was three of them. One of them was like, well, my child died from malaria, so whatever you're doing, I'm going to keep encouraging you to do it, man. And, up until recently, we don't have anything to help you malaria. If you go to another country where it's more prevalent, they give you a shot. If you get it, malaria, you live or you die. It's not like a disease in the sense. It's in the same family with the cold and flu, and some people die from the flu. So you survive or you die. So I spent the next couple of years learning to read again, to write again, to talk properly again. My motor skills were off. I couldn't walk in a straight line. I became severely dyslexic, but through God and His mercies, I'm here.
Was that as a result of the malaria, the memory?
Yes, I had what is called cerebral malaria. This one lady told me she knew a man who got malaria and went crazy. So it affected my mind, my brain, and it was awful because the doctor straight up told my mom, well, there's nothing wrong with her brain. Those are just the side effects. So I remember going from being an A student, and I just went to a new school, to being a D student. And I remember the teacher asking me, did they give you those grades? And I was just like, I didn't have anything to say to her. I used to drink this bottle of pills, and they were natural, and just put my head down and just sleep. I would do my homework. I would put all my books in front of me. And even though they were in front of me, I would forget what I was supposed to do.
Well, God.
Exactly. God is amazing. And the thing is that how fearfully and wonderfully are we made, that our bodies can recover from such thing, given the right tools to help it do what it needs to do that extra work of repairing and reconnecting and refocusing. Like, are we aware that the brain, if a pathway is disturbed, sometimes old enough, maybe not so much, but when young enough, if it's disturbed or disconnected, the brain will create a new pathway to overcome the one that was broken.
So let's go back to your pie business.
Mm-hmm.
When you were 14.
Mm-hmm.
What sparked your interest in opening a business? What was the name of that business? And what can you share with our listening audience? Some advice as to how to run a business, and what are the advantages and disadvantages?
Well, I like to eat. So that was the one. And I like to make money too. I actually made a vegan cheesecake. How this started. So what we could now call vegan. I was raised a total and complete vegetarian. What many people call vegan now. I don't consider myself a vegan, but when you say you're a vegetarian now, it like includes all kinds of things. So what many people call vegan now, but I do eat honey, and I do use animal products, just not for ingestion for the most part in my diet. And I took it to church, and the people at church were so enamored with the pie. They were like, oh my God, this is so good, and all this other stuff. And then I was asked to make another one, and different people started asking me for some. And so I just started charging people.
Okay, there we go.
And so I was in high school at the time. And so I would come home and fill all my orders on Friday. And the thing about it, I made everything from scratch, including the crust. And it became tedious and things like that. But it was a beautiful thing. I had like over 200 clients, and my mom had a business. So I on 233rd, was it White Plains Road, was a store called New Start. The business was just called Silvadnie. I was a high school student. I didn't have no name. I was the vegan pies, like literally the
There we go.
pies. That was it. And I sold them for like $12. And I met this lady in the park. She was like, "Oh, girl, this is vegan. This is all vegetarian." When I told her what was in it, she was like, "Oh, girl, you could sell that for a bunch of money." Now, I'm young and dumb. I don't know better, and I don't really care. I'm making money. I'm having fun. And so I would make some and then put them in the cooler in her business and my mom's business as well, besides the immediate clients I had, so people can purchase them immediately. And they would, and so that's how I made money. And then my dad, he would like help me purchase the pans and materials. So I actually ended up paying my mom for her services and paying my dad for their services at 14.
Yeah. Okay. So what happened to the business?
I was in high school and I became slightly overwhelmed as it grew because I had so many clients and I only made the prize after school on Fridays. And sometimes many times my mom would still be at work, at her business working. So it would just be me, and I just became overwhelmed. And I will say this for parents who have children like me who aspire to do things and have things that go well. Education is great and one thing, but if they have something that they're doing that is profitable and it's going to help them to succeed in life, please encourage them in that and help them with that. Not, "Oh, well, yeah, they did it. It was great. They were successful. Just go to school and get an education." My parents, being that they were from two different countries, for them, that was more important than the fact that I was actually making money. It didn't really mean anything. We're your parents. We're supporting you. Like, you don't really need to make your own money. So that was that. So they didn't think of it as anything more than, okay, well, she's done. And I wish that they had encouraged me or maybe giving me tools. Okay, so you have more clients. It's too much for you to make it on Friday. Maybe you should start making the crust on Thursday, having the dough. So you just make the filling on Friday and just those types of things.
Yeah.
So just that. So I just became one Friday. I just was so tired after school and I just quit and I left everybody hanging, unfortunately. So that was that. But I was making my own money since I was 7. We used to have socials in New York at churches, and I used to sell bags of nuts and fruits for $1. And I've always had the entrepreneur spirit, and I've always, by God's grace, managed to find my own way to make a living because my parents didn't believe in allowance. So if I wanted stuff, I had to do my own thing. My mom told me, if you want something, you better figure out a way to make money.
I like that. Yeah, you teach your children to work for what they want, so when they grow older, they have an appreciation for what is given to them. So that is a good principle.
And my business advice for anyone, old or young, depending on where you are, if you have a child who's doing something that's satisfactory, start an LLC for them. Help them to have it from now, where they can have business credit. They can build on that if they go to college or whatever. By the time they finish college, they're already set, moving along in that, and then they can explore other dreams and have a financial backbone or a company that they can sell to a bigger conglomerate that is interested in what they have to offer. Because what I have to offer is something that now, if I had continued, irrespective if I did continue, I may have sold the company, to a bigger company who is interested in that product, but it's already made and all they have to do is buy my company and then life goes on. And so that would be a financial thing for me and my family, but go for it. In business, you will fail. In business, you will lose money. In business, you would learn what's your niche, how to talk to your customers. So just go forward and don't stop. And even if you decide you don't want to do something anymore, do something different. It matters not.
Nice. Good advice. So how important is financial literacy to you, and how important And do you feel like it is important in the upbringing or the nurturing of our children from today's generation?
Financial literacy is profoundly important. In my entire life, I never had a credit card intentionally. You know, when I was in college, I just didn't want to be those kids who had a credit card and was in all this debt. I paid for college out of pocket, except for one semester. I didn't work that summer, and I took out a loan for $11,000. I went to a private school that's about 40 grand a semester. And God blessed me. I paid for it. But if I had a better understanding of financial literacy with the money that I did make, that I was paying out and things like that. And yes, I did get some scholarships, but I worked. My first summer in college, I made $14,000 those 3 months. In the summer that I worked, $14,000. And that's what was put on the paper, because my manager said, he was like, well, so I subtracted from the money I just think you spent anyway. Stuff like that. And he was serious. But the thing is that what I made that money was, I was actually doing missionary work. I was doing door-to-door sales, something called canvassing of Christian books. And it was a great way for me to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ and make money. But here is the interesting about that. And this is, I'm going to say something a little bit more spiritual about this. I would not read those books, because when I began to regain my memory, I was at this school and there was this lady who could tell you the Bible verses from the back of her head and tell you how great heaven was. But she was so nasty. I didn't want anything. I was like, I'm not interested in that God. But God in his mercy made it so that I would get to know him for myself. And part of that getting to know him was me out there selling these books that I refused to read. But the reason I was able to sell them and be so successful at it, because I have a belief that everyone should have the knowledge to be able to make their own choice. And even though I didn't believe in a personal, loving God that cared about me intimately, I did believe there was a God. And I did have the knowledge, and the knowledge that I did have wasn't enough for me to make the right choice. But I did have the knowledge to tell me that I felt like I had enough knowledge to make my choice about God. And I feel everybody has the right to have the knowledge about God. So I did believe that the books that I was selling did tell the truth, because they had Bible verses and they were biblical. They were not what somebody thought about God, not what somebody felt about God. They were about who God was and what he wants for your life, and health books and children's stories. So I sold them with all my might, and I made that money because I believed. Yeah. So that's just what I have to say about that. But yeah, I made $14,000 my first thing. But if I knew about credit cards, now back to the money part of this. If I understood how credit cards work, and if I had understood how money worked, what I would have done, and not just taking a loan I couldn't pay back, because strategically, because student loans take no interest initially, depending on, I guess, how long or whatever. But initially, when you get your first student loan for college, the interest is deferred until you finish. So there's no interest. What I would have done was taken out a loan and invested the money that I was making every summer in different things. And then close to finishing, or when I was finishing, begin to pay it back. Possibly by then I would have had, decent credit or whatever, or no credit, but they give students credit cards, and begin to pay it back with a credit card, and hopefully zero interest type of situation. And then pay it back monthly while I'm building my credit, because I have the money. I'm not borrowing money I don't have. Please understand what I'm saying. I already have the money. So I'll be able to invest the money I have. Then the money that I'm not investing, I still am able to use it longer, and then be building my credit with a credit card and things of that nature. Or just pay it off in a lump sum when I was finished with school, or, pay half of it and then they give you 6 months, and then use 6 months to pay pay most of it and use it to pay the rest of it slowly and build my credit. So these are things that we're not taught. No one teaches us. Yeah. Now that I have a credit card, I'm beginning to understand how they work. I can give myself a loan of 10 grand if I have good credit with a credit card and pay it off monthly. And if I still have good credit, right, I can get another credit card with a higher limit, and then with no interest for 16, 18, usually it's about 12 to 18 months. And guess what? Then I can do a balance transfer from that credit card if I'm not finished in the 12 to 18 months paying it off. And then I just gave myself a 2-year interest-free loan when we understand how credit works. I only learned that last year when I decided to get a credit card, because renting in the cars and little different things I had to do became more difficult with not having a credit card.
Well, I didn't know that, so thank you for sharing. I hope our listening audience is taking notes, because again, you have a wealth of knowledge in whatever field. I am yet to hear a discussion being brought up that Silvadnie did not have on the topic. So I feel like you have knowledge in every aspect. So thank you.
Amen. I say spend time with people who know more than you.
I can see that you are in tune to the financial aspect of the world, which is very, very interesting. Surprisingly, it is hidden from a lot of persons. So if you don't do research, then you won't know about it.
Mm-hmm.
I recently got a credit card too, and I am just finding out the benefits of it. But the trick that they say is that it is a loan without interest once you pay it back.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not entirely sure how credit is built in Jamaica, but I know for sure that they do a credit check.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm learning and listening to what you're saying as well. I have a few back questions, but we'll just try to move forward. When you were finding out about your credit card, or when you were finding out about your credit card and how it works and how to use it to the best of your ability, was it because of the new business that you were starting? I never heard that.
Okay, so how I started, I have a business called New Delights that I started. How that started. So when I was in college, being a dietetic student, at Oakwood University is where I went to school. And we just didn't have time to work. When we weren't in class, we were like at renal clinics, where the way it was then, we were at like the Marriott Hotel kitchen, learning about pricing and different things like that. We were at just long care term facilities, just learning different things. So when I wasn't in class, like some students, I have 5 hours, I have 3 hours, I don't have class on these days. I literally was doing other things, so I could not have a other job. So I was like, man, I need some money. This is not working. And before that, I never, if I wanted to do little things, I was always doing something. I never really had to rely on my parents for money. Now I'm older, and it's like every time I want to do something small, I need to ask my parents because I don't have any money. I was like, what is this about? I don't understand this. Like, you're younger, you could do little things. Like I would take my siblings shopping sometimes and buy, little just
right,
they wanted that, my parents, they have to take care of all of us, and it's 4 of us. And now I can't afford to do that. I was like, yeah, this is not going to work. So I started making these Jamaican style patties. I know y'all in Jamaica, but they vegan friendly, okay? My mom is Guatemalan and Jamaican, so we got that all together over there. And my dad is Ghanaian, so I got the whole world going on over here. And I would walk around the different offices at the school and I sold them. And that's how I started doing business again. I always wanted to have my own business, and I started doing that. And I did that when I was in school. When I finished school, I did that. So when they have things like Pelcare, when they have like, what do they call them? Camp meeting, if you're not a Seventh-day Adventist. I don't know if other Christian denominations do it, where all the Christians come together for a spiritual awakening and renewness in God. And you spend days listening to sermons and seminars about how to grow in Christ, how to be evangelism. So if you've fallen off the way, or if the Holy Spirit needs to convict you of something as you're ready in your Christian walk, because you don't arrive when you're a Christian, you continue to grow from one glory to another glory, and then God might convict you of something 2 years later that he can convict you of before, because it's like it might have been too much for you to try to be like, oh my God, how am I gonna change and be better, or whatever the case might be. So for you to, be enriched in the Lord. So I sold patties there. I would have tables. I would walk around with them. And then that's how I made my seed money. I started my business with no loans. I started my business with no financial assistance from anybody, just with the money that I made from doing actual business. And sometimes start a business just means start doing business. Whether you have paperwork or no paperwork, start doing business in America and elsewhere. Even when you do your taxes in this country, some people have started business and they never went and made it a legal entity, but they are doing business. You can put that on your taxes. And some people don't make enough money for what they do to be considered a business. You still can put it on your taxes. It's considered a hobby, but that's neither here nor there. But that's how I started. And then finally in 2013, the summer of 2013, I was like, God, I need a business. Somebody help me make a flyer. I went and got my LLC paperwork. I did all that stuff. I started doing business. I had clients. I did not have to work for anyone. I was able to pay my bills and do everything. And see here, culture, let me tell you where culture comes into that. One of my parents was like, well, why are you doing this? And just because you're supposed to work for somebody, you're supposed to do that, you're supposed to do this and that. And I had to say to them, well, if I wasn't doing this, I wouldn't be able to pay for anything. And so sometimes the prescribed method and the prescribed way doesn't work for you. And then in 2015, my mom died, so I quit. But here's the thing: why most businesses fail within 2 years. The issue is that it takes you 2 years to figure out how to make your money. It takes you 2 years to streamline what you do and realize what you do.
That's very true.
What works well, and the way to package your business to meet the audience that you find yourself, that want your product, that are looking for your product, to speak their language. So example, I provide weight loss assistance, energy gain, pain management, and different things of that, and issues, male and female issues, lifestyle disease help, and things like that. I didn't always say it the way I just said it. I would say different words, and I had to learn from dealing with my customers. The way I'm saying the same thing, but the way they're saying what they're asking me for what I do is not the way I'm saying it. So I had to learn to use the language of the people that I was serving as well. So it's those little different things you learn in business. Then you learn how much money you need to put into your business to make the type of money you want. So just all those things, it takes you about 2 years to learn that. And if you continue and don't give up after those 2 years, 2013, 14, you will succeed. Continue. And sometimes we don't succeed in business. It has nothing to do with the business. It has to do with our mental attitude and the things that are in us that we haven't dealt with, the hurts, the pains, the sorrow, the depression, or the things in our mind that snatch our ability to focus on what's in front of us. So I'm going to encourage us, because I listened to this thing from some business owners, and I was younger. I was like a teenager when I listened to this, and they were saying how they failed in business had nothing to do with their business. So I'm going to say to everyone here, if you have things, unresolved issues, hurt, anger, disbeliefs about yourselves, that you're not worth this, or you're not good enough for this, or someone else should be doing, deal with it. talk to God about it. Talk to a counselor about it. Talk to a friend or a person who's going to listen and just give you the best advice they can about it, and deal with that thing as much as it hurts. It will tremendously help you to move forward in your life for what God has for you, the dreams that come to your mind, and anything else you want to do in this world. I will say that for business.
What quality traits do you think you need to have in order to run a successful business?
Desire, consistency, and be willing to learn new things, and be willing to know that you don't know everything. Sometimes fail, ask questions, ask for help. Be willing to apologize. Be like, you know what? I really thank you for your patience with me, instead of saying, I'm sorry I'm late. Thank you for your patience and being so gracious with me. Things like that. And so it's the small things that make it. Following up with your customers, especially when you now, for me, my business, I never stopped, but my mom died, so I try to go die with her. So that was the end, and now I'm coming back. I actually got a email, or somebody emailed me. I have a website being taken care of and things like that are being taken care of as we speak. And so when I'm done with this, I'm going to deal with that. But desire, it doesn't take anything but desire, and go. You don't even have to know halfway how you're doing. If you keep going, you will find out how to do it. There's this, I used to have this little thing that says, the world is waiting for you to succeed. All you need is desire and effort, and go, close your eyes and move in the dark and you'll get somewhere. And I know that sounds ridiculous. Just go. Oh, I got to do that. Just go. I was able to start a business without a loan and a penny from anyone because I just started. I had a need. I needed income. I was in school, and an expensive school. I had no way to make money because I lived 45 minutes away from school, and I didn't have a car, and I wasn't from this place, and I didn't know anyone, and no one who saw me doing what I was doing as an older person said, hey, I see your effort. Let me help you. Let me teach you about money. Be willing to teach those who come after you. Be willing to say, I appreciate what I see this young person do it, and show them the way. As a people, we need to learn to do that better.
I agree 100%. I think we all should have be mentors for the younger generation. If you see someone in your neighborhood with the potential to do great things, and you just need that little push or a little advice or encouragement, it doesn't take a lot to just take them, and we've all been there. We have something to share, regardless if we feel like it's trivial or if it's minute. We have something to share, and to someone it will be very important. So thank you for sharing that, Silvadnie.
Thank you for tuning in to part 1 of our 2-part episode of the Unrealistic Box. Join us next week as we conclude our conversation with Silvadnie Quainoo. Follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Hallower Productions. Be kind, spread love, and remember, live your own dreams.